What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Paddock, and today we're going to talk all about playing funk on the Bari Sax. Welcome to my very first Bari Sax YouTube tutorial. I've had people asking me to play Bari Sax on YouTube for a while, and I don't teach on Bari Sax that often. Usually I do alto and tenor, but I have been playing the Bari Sax for a very long time, and I have done tons of recording sessions for movies and television on the Bari Sax. The reason I had it out today actually is to do a recording session for P. Mauriat. So I had it out and I was playing funky stuff, and I was like, let's do a tutorial about how to play funk on the Bari Sax. Before we dive into the tutorial, if you enjoy my content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell for likes. And I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of Bari Sax lovers checking out this video. So everybody leave a comment with either your favorite Bari saxophone player or your favorite Bari saxophone solo. Mine would be Bruce Johnstone on MF horn 4 and 5, which is Maynard Ferguson horn 4 and 5. He plays a solo in a song named after him called Stay Loose with Bruce. He absolutely crushes that solo, and if you like the Bari Sax, you should definitely check it out. You can find it on YouTube just by doing a search. Bruce Johnstone, Stay Loose with Bruce. Leave your favorite Bari saxophone player or solo below down in the comments. I have done a lot of tutorials on how to play funk on the saxophone, and in my sax school I actually have an entire course dedicated to it where I teach funk saxophone. I teach you 10 songs and a whole bunch of tips and techniques to play over funk songs. But when it comes to playing funk on the Bari Sax, there are a couple things that are very specific to this horn. So that is what I'm going to concentrate on in this tutorial. If you want just a basic funky sax tutorial, I'll put a couple links in the video description below. But this is going to focus in on some of the things that you really want to think about when it comes to playing funk on the Bari Sax. So let's get started. As you know, when it comes to playing funk, one of the most important things is syncopation. Playing syncopation on the Bari Sax is a little bit different than playing it on the alto or tenor. So for all of these examples, I'm going to use my C blues scale. I'm probably going to add some notes here and there, but it's going to be mostly a C blues scale. So here is an example of me playing some syncopated funk on the Bari Sax using the C blues scale. Now, the biggest thing is when it comes to the Bari Sax, you need to breathe a lot more just because the horn is so much bigger and you're putting more air into it. So if I was playing that same line on the alto, I wouldn't breathe nearly as much. When I'm playing it on the Bari Sax, in a lot of the breaks and a lot of the rests, I am sneaking in little quick breaths. So I'm going da, 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 da. So da, da, da. I play the note and then I take a short breath. Now, maybe not every time, but a lot of times, especially if I go down to a low note, I'm going to be breathing in the rest during the syncopation. So your first thing that you need to do when it comes to playing funk on the Bari Sax is breathe more and breathe in the middle of the syncopation. That's going to make everything sound a whole lot better. I'm going to attempt to play a funk line with syncopation and not breathe a lot. I don't know how this is going to go. Let's see what happens. I just took a breath. Let me try again. Like, I can do it, it just doesn't seem natural, it doesn't feel good. If I was playing a similar line on the alto sax or the tenor sax, I would hardly breathe in the middle of the syncopation. I would just breathe during the phrases. But on the Bari Sax, you need to breathe during the syncopation so that you get the spacing in between the notes. That is what is going to give you really clean articulation and syncopation. Now, another thing that I would do when I'm taking a funk solo on the Bari Sax that I would not do on the alto or tenor is repeat the same note a lot of times using my articulation. Now, on the alto or tenor, I might repeat a note some, but on the Bari, I'm going to do it a lot more and it's going to sound a whole lot better. Like, that sounds really cool on a Bari. I can repeat that note a whole bunch of times as long as I have a cool articulation on it, and it's going to sound really good. If I do the same thing on the alto or tenor, it will sound okay, but it's not going to have the same impact as on a Bari Sax. On a Bari Sax, because it's a bass instrument, a lower instrument, you can repeat these notes and it's going to sound super cool. Now, you don't want to do an entire solo of repeated notes, but don't be afraid to repeat a bunch of notes on the Bari Sax. Another thing that I'm going to do a whole lot on the Bari Sax, just in general improvisation, is play chord outline solos. Now, if you followed my tutorials or you're in my sax school, you know that I'm a big proponent of chord outline solos, but we usually use that as a stepping stone to get into more advanced improv. On the Bari Sax, because this is an instrument that could play bass lines, you can actually play chord outline solos or do whole solos or big portions of your solo that just has chords, chord outlines, and chord tones, and it's going to sound really good. That sounds totally cool on the Bari Sax. You could do a large portion of your solo just playing chord outlines. Now, if you combine the two things that we just talked about, repeating notes and playing chord tones, you can play a solo that sounds really cool if you repeat your root. Now, of course, I had extra notes in there, but mostly I was just repeating my roots and going back and forth. Another really cool funk improv idea on the Bari Sax, and this is something that Leo P talks about a lot and does a lot in his solos and his bass lines, are octave jumps. So you're just going to play the same note in between two octaves. So something like this, or. So if I use octave jumps, it just gives it like a really cool sounding bass line. Those octave jumps are super cool. So if you're a Bari saxophone player taking a solo, especially a funk improv solo, you definitely want to put in some octave jumps. And the last thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to playing funk improv solos on the Bari Sax is adding in some contrast to your sound. So mostly we've been talking about playing syncopation. For contrast, we could play some slurred or some swing or some bebop lines in the middle of the funk improv. That's going to give us some contrast and make what you're playing sound super cool. That contrast will really make your improv come alive and give you all different kinds of sounds to work with. Smooth sounding jazz inspired lines in the middle of your funk syncopation is going to give you a lot of contrast and will give you a lot more colors to work with when you are improvising. So with all of that in mind, here is a little solo where I add in all of the stuff that we just talked about. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. If you'd like to dive deeper into my saxophone world, come check me out at the Scott Paddock Sax School.